and welcome to the What Squirrel Speaks. Today is Tuesday, July 9th. This is episode 70? No, 71. I think, right? How are you? I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, or my new favorite addiction, Instagram. There I'm the Fat Squirrel, which is the Fat SQRRL. Because again, somebody else is the Fat Squirrel there. What's that about? Who are they? I don't know. But there I am. How are you? I think I already said that. If you're a new viewer, thanks for trying me out. If you're a returning viewer, I kiss your face. I kiss it right off. Thank yous and a field trip. Virtually living through other people's experiences. I enjoyed. How about you? But first, thank yous to Mike and Diane. It really would have worked out, Mike, if your name had been Jack. Could you really have worked on that for me? Because then I could have sang Jack and Diane. Not that I want to, or that you want me to. Meaning you plural, not just you, Mike. But still, I could have done it. But anyway, thanks, Mike, Diane. Now I can't stop singing that song in my head, and this is not going to go well for me. Okay, moving on. They donated their real life hard-earned money to the show. Thank you. It really helps with the ginormous pile of Orange Cow prizes I just sent out. What? A few of you still haven't contacted me. Just saying, watch that episode. If you entered the Orange Cow. All right, what's wrong with me this morning? I'm still a little discombobulated. It's early. Shush. Oh, thank yous and virtual field trips. I got a package this mail in the week. Normally, I don't show off all the goodies you send me because I'm embarrassed. And really, I'm not want to show off pants usually. But I'll make an exception this time. Because look what Terry sent me. Oh, God, it smells so good. It's Beaver Slide Kettle Dyed. Now, if you've just started watching within the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, you probably have not heard my squeeing over Beaver Slide dry goods. But those of you who have been with me for a while know that they're one of my favorite yarn purveyors, yarn manufacturers, sheep breeders, and growers of wool. They do all those things. What's up with that? I know, right? Not even kidding you. This yellow is very yellow. Sorry. I am wearing a shirt. You just can't see it. Or I'm not. It's that kind of podcast. Anyway, they usually sell they have a farm in Montana, a ranch, and they have a yarn that I love called Beaver Slide Dry Goods. You can buy it on their shop at, I believe, just beaverslideDryGoods.com. I believe. And they're lovely humans. It's very exciting when you get a package from them in the mail. I'm not ordered for a little while, but typically when I receive a package from them in the mail, it doesn't have like the pre-printed like label with shipping, like, you know, when you get something from Etsy or a PayPal transaction. It doesn't even have like the little, I don't know what that was. It doesn't even have like the little zoop scanny thing from the post office. It just has like a babillion stamps on it. Why do I find that so charming? I do. I can't help it. It's got like 50 stamps on it. Sometimes they're not canceled. Do you always want to steam them off of a package and reuse them when that happens? I never do, but I always want to. Anyway. But I don't know, for some reason I find that very exciting. I just love to think of them all with like their rolls of stamps on the wall, like, or maybe the office, the actual post office there in Montana is like, whoosh. We don't need that fancy printer. We just got stamps. Either way, I like them. But Terry was driving through random Montana, okay? Like, this is random Montana. And Montana is a giant state, if you're not familiar with our U.S. geography. It's ginormous. It's huge. Huge state. So the idea that Terry could just be driving through the state randomly. I mean, she had a purpose, but her purpose was not this. She's just tooling through and she saw a sign about yarn. She's like, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Montana. There's a dry goods store that's selling yarn. A general store that sells yarn. That's going to be a lot of hoke. I don't even know what that word means. I just made it up. That's going to be a lot of like red heart. I still love you if you use red heart, but please. Okay. Okay. It's going to have a lot of like big box store yarn. She's like, so she's like, she dismisses it. She's driving. This is how she drives. I know. I've never met Terry, but I know she drives exactly like this. She's driving through and she saw, are you ready? The actual sign. Left and right's very confusing here. For Riverside Jackets. How exciting is that? So she went, in fact, to this Dupayer cache. French is not my language, yo. English is barely mine. Dupois cache? No, that would have an O-I-S in there. Dupayer? Whatever. Matthew, shush. And it is a unique store with groceries, specialty books, beverages, beaver slide, dry goods, yarn, photography, artisan crafts, and more. So randomly, my camera just was like, never mind. And we move on. By the way, you will hear random noises of my child hurling herself through the house and probably a dog barking at her at some point. She has a trampoline set up with my cushions from my chair and is running to the house, jumping off the trampoline and then onto the cushions. It's summer. This is what you get, yo. But anyway, Terry was driving through and found this yard for me and bought it for me. How nice is she? So evidently in their actual physical store, they sell some kettle dyed. I did go immediately and check the website and it's not on there. So, sorry. It would, I'm sure, create lots of problems for them because they would have to like photograph everything individually, and they have an actual website, not like Etsy or Big Cartel. So that's more challenging for them. But look at that! This is like their worsted / Aarony weight, and so it is 241 yards. So this is their worsted. I love it. Thank you, Terry. So that happened. Thank you. There are shenanigans, but I'll save them for the end of the show because they are slightly adult in nature. If you've been with me for a long time, evidently that's the theme of this episode. You may recall that last year, around this time, I have a friend who's a birthday, like July 7th, 6th, 7th. Sorry, Caitlin. And every year thus far, we have gone, this is the second year, but whatever, hush. This is our second annual trip to the Burlesque show, the Improvities in Indianapolis. So we went there. So I'll tell you about that at the end in case you're, concerned that I might be corrupting the mind of America's youth. As I mentioned, my child is running through here, so I will not say anything terribly off color. And also my mother's watching. Hi, Mom. But I'll say that for the end, just in case. Just in case. The shenanigans at the end. Let's get right into them, okay? Okay. Well, I have some finished spinning objects. I do. It's Tour de Fleece, but I'm not touring. Because it's also almost as a skate. Super Summer Knit Together, hosted by the Knit Girls. So I'm not spinning as much as I would like to be, quite frankly. But I did spin this. Did I showed you bobbins last time, yeah? Yeah, I totally did. Mm-hmm. These are my double blended artsy batlings from Hobbledehoy. This is 2.6 ounces, but I secretly got 2 packages of them because I'm a wool pig. Also, lovely Knit Girls saying. By the way, don't you love that? I'm totally a wool pig. Wool pig! We need tattoos, or at least biker jackets. Oh, big. Double blended RC batlings. I just spun them as a 2-ply. And look at this crazy yard. 450 yards, is that what I got? Am I lying? 250 yards. It's way different than 450 yards. Out of about 5 ounces, because I used 2 of the batlings for something else. So it's super crazy town. Super crazy town. It's sparkly and a million different colors. It was very fun to spin. So there's that. Also, there's the top of my head. Oh, also, if you see me at Super Summer Knit Together, this is totally intentional, my hair. It's ombre hair. It's not intentional. But I'm not re-dyeing and letting it grow out. So don't judge me when you see me there. Or judge me, but do it quietly in a different room, like all good humans do. Then I also did this. This is 4 ounces of a Cormo Angora blend. I think it's 50-50. I got this, it was roving, and I got this at the Fiber event in Greencastle, Indiana this year. It was rustic, but in a lovely way. It wasn't like it was rustic. You know, sometimes that's code for it was crap. Crap. But it wasn't that. It was just rustic. It was so awesome. I wrote down my yardage, but I don't have it here. I feel like it was 300 yards-ish. That's not true. I think it was almost 4. It was like 400 yards-ish. I'm a liar. I have no idea. I'm just making up numbers. But I love it! I've never spun any Angora before. I spun some Cormo from them last year. I love Cormo. From what I can see, it's not widely commercially available. But it's magic. It is amazing. I love it. And this smells exactly like it did last year. So woolly and beautiful. And I even gave it a bath and it still smells of happy, happy sheep and rabbits, evidently. Oh. So I spun this long draw-ish, as in mostly I spun at long draw, but sometimes it was supported long draw because I'm not super fancy yet. And I love it! I went a million of it. I have no idea how this will wear because it is so soft. And again, I have no idea about Angora. I'm pretty sure not durable. But I still have it. And I would love to have magically a sweater, but ping, I don't want to do it. But I went ping to have it. I love that. So there's that. I have no spinning in progress to show you. Because I have no spinning in progress. My show should not be called The Fat Squirrel Speaks. It should just be the chick who rubs everything on her face. Anyway, I have knitting. I have finished objects-ness, but not full on. I have blanket squares. I am knitting the Vivid by Tin Can Knits from the Handmade in the UK book, which was kindly donated to me for review by Tin Can Knits. One person therein. Here are my squares thus far. Part of the reason I love that pattern is because in the pattern there's a picture of just a stack of squares. And that's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Her color's much brighter than mine, but still gorgeous. So here's my squares. I think last week I was working on this Phoebe one. Wasn't I? But then I need to cast off a little bit. So I have another Phoebe and 2 more Baba Siennas. There they are. Pinholes are not tightened up on those or woven in. Oh, that's right. Last week I totally ripped my... Okay. Last week I ripped out my pinhole cast on through my hossiness. By the way, that's not a word. But I fixed it. It's fine. I know some of you were very worried. I was clearly worried. But I did fix it and it's A-okay. I, at the same time, went back and wove in the ends on my other squares just to make sure. So that's happy. So yeah, that's how I can tell what I did last week. Yes. Okay, these are all woven in, so these were all done. I have a Phoebe and 2 Baba Siennas, and I'm almost done with another Ancient Fern. Peace Fleece colors. Ooh, by the way, if you like Peace Fleece, they're going to raise their prices in August. So buy it now! And that's not just for funsies that they're raising the prices, but the cost of mohair has gone up. There you go. So I have 1 edge and a bit to cast off still on that. I love this pattern, by the way. It took a little while to remember what was happening, but now I don't have to look at the pattern, and so it's very restful. And it's also exciting because the middle of the square, I'll show you on this lighter colored one, the middle of the square is where all the patterning happens, but that part goes so fast. So fast. As you can see, it's not many stitches. It's like a cast on of 8. So it's not very, and I think even up here it's like 24. So it's super fast. All the lacy parts super fast. And then the rest is just garter. And I'm not doing it, by the way. Did I tell you this? I'm not doing Pearl. Pfft. Pearl and I are not friends at all. I don't like her. I don't care for her. I mean, I agree that she's a place in the world, but whenever I can, I avoid her presence. So I am actually, like, say this is the beginning of the row. When I get here, after I've knit and I need to have a purl showing row, I just turn that bad boy around and knit around. And then I turn her around. And the second time I wrap it. And then I knit around. And you can tell if you look really closely, but you would never be able to tell in a blanket square, like in an actual project. You would have to know exactly where the starting of the row is, starting/ending of the row. You would have to know where that was, and then you would have to really look to tell, even though I'm only wrapping every other row. And I'm not knitting the wrap with the thing. It's purl, so it doesn't show. That's how Rolio. So there's that. I think I'm going to work on those as Super Summer Knit Together because it's easy enough to do there, I think. I'm stressed out about what projects to take. Because when I went to the knitting, this is the reason. When I went to the knitting pipeline retreat, I took just very plain things. I took my sockhead hat and socks, and it was kind of boring to knit on. So I feel like I need something that's a little bit of something, but not too much of that something. I don't know, I can't tell. Like, dude, we don't care. I know, hush. It's my show. In progress, I have works in progress. If you'd like to be fancy and say all the words that you're supposed to say to make people understand what you're talking about. I have my Magra Theatrol. And this is by the lovely and talented Martina Bem. Woo, I just forgot her name. So I did put a little tie on where I was last week. So this is what I had last week. And this week I have this much more. Still haven't memorized this pattern for some reason. But luckily, as you get even longer, it's even less frequently that you have to remember what to do. Because this is all just garter. Yay that. And when you're super cheesy like me, you just write the pattern down like that. Don't look too close. But you just write it down like that on some scrap paper. And then you knit with that. Because you couldn't be bothered to print that square. That's not be silly. That's true. Also, I keep forgetting there is a bind off to get the points. I don't know if you can you see that there are points? I keep forgetting to bind them off until I get to that next row, and then I'm like, oh, I have 5 too many stitches. Oh, that's why. Boom. So what I do for those is I just do a cheater bind off. Like I put those 5 stitches onto my working needle on the right needle, and then I just take 2 off, lift the leftmost. Don't look at me because I'm doing my left. I lift the leftmost stitch and take it over that stitch, and I put another stitch on here, and then I take that stitch. So I'm just doing like a cheater, like super duper cheater bind off, and that's not a good bind off. Like it's way too rigid, but for this it's fine because it's like this many stitches. It's no big deal, and I'm certainly not going to take back all those rows. That's not silly. So there's that. Oh, and it's my bag from Knitspin Farm. She's an Etsy shop, and she's magic. She's not doing a lot right now because she has a farm, people. It's summertime. She's seasonal producer of bags. Okay. Also works in progress. I have my toucan from Desert Vista Dye Works. And I just put in the waste yarn for the heel while at the burlesque show. This girl that's in the bar before the burlesque show. This girl right here. And the doors opened at 8 and the show didn't start till 10. And you had to get there at 8 if you want to get close enough to see the business. Okay. Which clearly I do. So, yes, before the show. I did not knit during the show because it's too dark. I tried. It was just a little too dark. I can kind of knit in the dark, but the combination of Dancy Dance and this, too much stimulation. So, yay that. It's very cute. There's the back. I'm enjoying the Desert Vista Dye Works. I will say this, and this is in no way a slight to Desert Vista Dye Works, but I want you to know if you are uptight. I'm not uptight. But if you are uptight and you demand an exact line in your stripe from one color to the other, there is not an exact line on every color transition. You can see that, right? Okay. That does not bother me, but if you're the person that bothers, then you should look for another sock yarn. However, it does not bother me because A, it doesn't bother me. But also, Desert Vista Dye Works is lovely and that you can always get stripy sock yarn. You can always get it. You don't have to like stock an update, which I'm terrible at. I'm awful at stocking updates. I just don't do it. I'm terrible. Sometimes I did this week. Okay, I'll hush. But if you're not good at stocking updates, she's a perfect stripy yarn purveyor for you. Okay. Also, the only other thing I have in progress actively, there are things on the needles that are not getting worked on, but I did cast on for a sweater. Because it just felt wrong not to have one going. And I have a colorwork sweater that's like languishing somewhere. I tried to work on that a little bit and it just knit like 2 rows on. I was like, never mind. Back in the bag. Okay. I couldn't think of what I was talking about. I am knitting. This has been in my queue forever. And then somebody, and I apologize, I looked at your name before I started the show and now it's gone. Dang it. But somebody posted in the group, like shared in the group, a picture of her Sew cardigan by Gudrid Johnston. This is a whole episode of me not saying things right. I know. Don't get sassy. Don't get sassy with me. Sew cardigan by Gudrid Johnston. The Shetland Trader. It's this cardigan. It's been in my queue forever. A longish time. More than a year. And I've wanted to knit it for a long time. And for some reason, I just forgot for a little while. And then I saw hers and I was like, oh, that's right, I wanted to do that. I didn't know. Because I already had yarn for it. And this is the yarn I had for it. Quince & Company. Chickadee. Chickadee-dee-dee-dee. And this is Peacock, I believe. Yes, Peacock. And this is the sport weight. It's 181 yards, which is 50 grams. It's, Chickadee is so awesome. I love it. I love Finch too, but Chickadee, awesome. And it looks great in stockinette. It's very plump. So this is the amazing progress I have made. Note the tone of sarcasm. Woo! I'm fat. It's a lot of stitches around. So this is actually, it says that there's only 7 rows of stockinette. Is that right? Maybe it's 14 rows because you repeat the 2 rows twice. That's probably what it is. Oh my gosh, is that telling you this? This rope ribbing. That's not telling you secrets. But anyway, yeah, looking at the picture, this is obviously not. I was like, I'm going to knit more because proportionately for my body, not going to happen. But in fact, I'm really supposed to knit more even. So I'm enjoying that. I'm knitting that on US 4s. What am I knitting other things on? I'm knitting my blanket squares on US 4s. I'm knitting my Magrathea on US 3s. And I'm knitting my socks on 00s. I forgot to tell you all of those things. These are the, I usually don't tell you what needle I'm knitting on, but I kind of like these a lot. Okay, I like them super way more than I should. These are the Chow Gu red lace. I started knitting this on something else. I had to stop because I like the needles. I like the tips. I like blah, 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 blah. But even more, I love the sound of them. They're slightly brushed. They're not like an Addy, which is the super slicky, slick enamel. I guess they technically have just a tiny bit more grab than like an Addy Turbo. Can you hear that? So I had to go to my yarn store and buy like 3 more pairs. So I would have enough for all of my active projects. Except for my socks, which are 00, and they don't make these as far as I know in 00. I enjoy the cable even. Now the cable, I will say this, the cable will kink a bit. Like, see? But it does straighten out nicely. So if you really crimp it, it will kink. But it will straighten out if you just give it a little heat through friction. And it goes right back. I know not every cable is for everybody, but I like these quite a lot. And they're very affordable. They're like in the $8 to $9 range. Okay, that's all the stuff I have to show you. But wait, there's more. Oh, that's what it's called. Enabling. I bought all this stuff. Wool Pig. Wool Pig. When my daughter was a wee one, like when she was 2-ish, she greeted everybody with a pig snort. Never said hi, just... I think what happened is one day randomly she did it and then the person laughed and then she continued to do it for like 4 months. She didn't say hi. That was awesome. Anyway, so I bought some stuff. Into the World. I did not catch an update per se, but I was reminded of its awesomeness and just happened to check and there was stuff there. And I bought it because I'm a wool pig. Into the World. This colorway is Squeak. I like it ever so much. It's like a goldy, rich, buttery gold and like an olivey green and a tired gray skies, big body of watercolor. That's a lake. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. I don't know about the ocean because I was only there once when I was a wee person. No, that's not true. I went there once when I was an adult, but it was Providence, Rhode Island. It was not the ocean in my mind. I'm not dissing you, Providence, Rhode Island. Your city is beautiful, but it's very industrial on the seafront, the ocean front, and it didn't feel like an ocean because there was no like gulls and stuff. But there's that. So I love this. This is Rambouillet. And I wanted to get 2 of them because that's my new thing. I just like to buy 2 of stuff. Because I want to be able to make bigger projects. Like, I do love hats, don't get me wrong. And by the way, so gonna be a hat. I know it does not match my coloring. I don't care, hush. This, I don't know what this is gonna be, but this is gonna be something. It's right here. A giant mustache. Anyway, Rambouillet. I love Rambouillet. But she only had 1. So same colorway in the merino silk. 80-20, right? Also Squeak. Because I couldn't give up the Rambouillet because I love Rambouillet. But I wanted 2, so clearly I was high. Don't judge. Also this is the Aurora Borealis colorway, and it's a Superwash BFL. I think it's going to be socks. Baby! And of course she sends you goodies. A little one-of-a-kind Romney. Enroll me. Okay. One moment of shameless self-promotion / SSK squeeing, and then I will talk about the Rambouillet. No, I won't talk about the Rambouillet. I'll talk about the burlesque show. Okay, so I will be at SSK. Are you going to be there? If you're not going to be there, I wasn't there last year. This is my first year. So, I remember how much it hurt last year that I didn't get to go. I promise I'll do a podcast. And I'll make sure that I do it at the end where if you don't want to hear about it, you don't have to listen to it. But if you do want to hear about it, then you can. Because I wanted to hear about everything, even though I couldn't go. I was like, ah. You know, you're sad. You're like, I can't go. But you're also very happy this thing exists. Right? It's just like the zombie apocalypse. I was sad because I couldn't go because it's 10 hours away. And flying is... I'm not against flying, but... I am against going to the airport and having them tell me that I'm a person of size. Because I know I am a person of size. But I don't need like a team of people looking at my butt and maybe breaking out a tape measure to determine that I am a person of size. And that I had to buy 2 airline tickets. Not happening. Because I'm not going to be as, like, famous as Kevin Smith about it. Just going to be sad alone. Yar. You can't fit this much awesome into a regular sized body. These are the things I tell myself late at night. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, fine, go. Sorry, dog is barking. Stop being crazy. So I couldn't go, just 10 hours, too much driving. But I was so excited to hear about it. So again, you're like, I can't go, Mia, sad me. But then you get to be like, yay, this thing exists. And a babillion other people went. Because, I mean, really, I didn't know these things even existed like 2 years ago. I had no idea that existed. So I'm just happy that it exists, even though I can't go to all of them. But I'm vending, also. Which is not quite as exciting. I'm very nervous. Because I am obviously the least awesome of all the vendors. And I say that not for like, oh, do I look fat in this? Because I'm a size 2. It's not like that. I'm not being like, oh, I'm just the worst vendor. Please tell me I'm great. That's not it at all. But I'm clearly the least accomplished and least experienced of the vendors. So I'm very intimidated about standing next to them all. So I'm very nervous. But I know you'll all be nice because everybody's nice. And I know that you'll just talk about me behind my back the way nice people do. If you're ashamed for me. But here's the special bag. So just like I did for the knitting pipeline, you get a special bag and it has a tag that says Super Summer Knit Together 2013 Fat Squirrel Fibers. And they'll be this size and the sweater size. Of course, I got the handle. And I brought 2 because you're like, oh, I don't like purple and pink. Well, don't worry. This print also has orange. So you'll be able to find one that makes your heart happy. And then there'll be lots of other bags too. If you're not going to the Super Summer Knit Together, don't worry. When I come home, I'll do an update with everything that's left. And trust me, there will be things left. So check it out. There will be yarn. You're crazy. So if you're going, oh my gosh, shush, don't judge me by my hair. I am fatter in person than I am on camera. If we were meeting on a single site, I would be very upfront and tell you, I am a size... I'm a size 26, 28. Don't be appalled when you see me. Because that's what size I am. You only see this part of me. There's more of me down here. I'm always baffled when I see those stories about like, we met online and he said he was 6'4" and weighed 180 pounds. And then I met him in real life and he was 5'8" and weighed 700 pounds. And I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? It's much easier to deal with rejection when you're not actually looking at the person. Why would they do that? Not that I'm afraid you're going to reject me. I'm just warning you. Again, ombre hair. I take up a lot of space. I'm loud. And I probably will talk over you. But it's not because I don't value your opinion. It's just because I'm talking about it. So you may at some point be like, hush. And I won't be offended. Okay. No, I don't think I'll be offended. If you do it like that. Hush. Okay. So that's all the stuff that's yarn related. Now for non-yarn related adventures. We went to the Improvities, which is a burlesque improv act. I know, right? Those things even exist the same. The world is amazing, people. It's amazing. So last year was a very long show. Everybody disagreed with me, but I'm pretty sure that we got there at 8, doors opened at 10, and we left at 2. It was so long that by the end you were like, you had to like hoop and holler a lot. Because these girls are these ladies, these women, I don't say girls derogatorily. They're just probably younger than me. These women are really putting themselves out there, both literally and figuratively. If you don't know what a burlesque show is, there's no actual nudity, but there are pasties and tiny, tiny underpants. So, but that takes a lot to stand in a, can you imagine? Stand under a spotlight and shake your stuff. Shake it. That's intense. So there's has to be a lot of hooping and hollering because they're giving you a lot. You got to give them back a lot. But by the end, you're really like, I want to hoop and holler for you, but can I just send it to you psychically? Because I'm getting very hoarse and my energy is waning because I'm a mom and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So but this time was much shorter. Like the show was over at before 1. So that was, it moved at a much faster clip. Last year there were like props and like they had to draw their prop out of a box and there was much, or the audience, they invited an audience member up. The audience member had to draw a prop out of the box. Then the lady got the prop and then she got like random, I will say this was better though. Last year there was crazy soundtrack. And I mean crazy in a good way, like all like 80s, early 90s. So that, you know, as soon as like the first few notes came, this dancer would know what it was. You know what I mean? Like we all know like a prayer. So, she could plan out in her head, like even though it was improv, she had like a few minutes warning of what she was going to be doing. Does that make sense? But the whole drawing names and a thing took forever. This time it was not, there was no drawing. It was just improv and that there was a live jazz band. What? I'm not even kidding you. There was a live jazz band with lots of horn, like lots of trumpet was like, wow, that kind of Cab Calloway, wow. I don't know why I always think Cab Calloway, because I'm a child of Sesame Street. That wow, 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 and the Blues Brothers. There was lots of that, which is totally enjoyable. But that was the improv. Like in terms of like, they would get random music done, but it was all jazz music. So it wasn't like, it was harder for the ladies to gauge. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? But anyway, that's what it is. They have their costume and they don't know what they're going to do until they get their music. Then they don't know what they're doing still sometimes, which is awesome. So it was great. It was fabulous. But I do want to highlight one amazingly talented human. Her name is Michelle Minx, and that's M-Y-N-X, I believe. This is what we all did. In a good way. She actually has a pole dancing school in Chicago, I believe. So if you're in Chicago and you decide to take a pole dancing class from Michelle Minx, please tell her that you heard about her on a knitting podcast. Please. I don't necessarily think that she'll think that's interesting, or I have no idea what her personality is like, but I just want that to happen. So please, if you take her class, tell her you heard about her on a knitting podcast. Please. She was amazing! Amazing! Like Cirque du Soleil meets Russian gymnast. Pole dancer. What? I'm not even kidding you. She had her own special pole that they like brought out on stage for her. It was like on a base which was also nice because it put her up a little bit higher so you could actually see better. Because, you know, it's like just a stage and there's people, so you couldn't always see when the ladies were doing fancy stuff on the floor. So it put her up a little bit higher, but it wasn't like attached to the ceiling, which was terrifying, by the way, because when she first started dancing, I didn't see that there was a base, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna die, because the pole was like a little bit wobbly, but it was okay. She's amazing. I have never, if I would have seen this on the televisions, I would have said CGI. She's got ropes and pulleys on her somewhere. I just can't see them. It was like that. She, at one point, and she's not a big lady like I'm a big lady, but she's not a teeny weeny lady either. Like, she had some meat on her. Because obviously she was a powerhouse. At one point, I kid you not, at one point, this is the pole, right? This is her, not even kidding you, completely perpendicular to the pole with her armpit. What? Only her armpit wrapped around the pole, but her body completely horizontal / perpendicular to the pole. What? How's that possible? Is she cracking walnuts into her armpits? Coconuts, not walnuts, because that would be, she would be like, is she cracking coconuts under her? What is she doing? She's amazing. And I would never look at her and be like, because she doesn't look like a bodybuilder. Like, she's not like super, like, no body fat defined muscle. She has like enough insulative materials around her muscles that you don't immediately say like, oh, who's insane? Then, okay, this is a slightly adult warning. Slightly adult. You ready? Okay. She had on, as most of the ladies, there are like layers of the costume, right? Because it's a very flirtatious. Ooh, see a little bit. Ooh. It's very flirtatious and fun. She had on like a bigger panty, not a granny panty, but like a hipster kind of panty or something. I don't mean hipsters who drink out of mason jars. Now there's too many of those words. That's very confusing. But she had on a greater coverage panty. Okay. She's on the pole. No hands. Just her leg, one leg wrapped around the pole, holding on somehow. I don't know. Magic. She's a monkey. I don't know. She somehow removed her over panty while dancing on the pole above the ground. She took her panties off. How is that possible? I was with a group of friends, and I just looked over, and they were all like we were all just like literally like, what? The woman in front of me just kept, I could see, I just saw her from back, but she was like, this woman is a magic. Michelle Minks. I looked at her YouTube videos. They are not nearly as athletic as the performance I saw. So I don't know if it's just they're older and she's become more accomplished. I'm not even kidding you. Olympic level gymnastics. I'm not insulting you if you're Olympic level gymnastic-y person by saying that somebody who's not an Olympian could. We had that whole thing with Ravelins, etc. I'm not. Just amazing. Defied the laws of physics. I'm not even kidding you. It was amazing. Have you heard me rant about this enough? I have to share. So that's all. I will record next week, I hope, but don't be surprised if I don't, because quite frankly, between having a little person and SSK getting ready, and I'm gonna try. It may be a limited knitting episode, though. Maybe I should have saved the burlesque talk for next week. I'll find something to talk about. Anyway, I totally love your faces! And I will see you next time. Bye! Baked you out. Bye!